The Meta Quest 3 versus the Bigscreen Beyond 2. What are the differences and which one is the best? Let's dive right into it. Now, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 and the Meta Quest 3 are both very different headsets, because where Meta is focused mostly on creating a complete wireless VR gaming experience at a low cost, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 on the other hand is a PCVR headset instead that tries to push the graphics and quality of the VR games and experiences to the next level. So to truly understand the differences between these two headsets, we should start this comparison by talking about the hardware. Now directly, the first thing that you will notice is of course the size. Because where the Meta Quest 3 has a standard footprint that you can come to expect from a modern VR headset, it also weighs in at about 550 grams. But the Bigscreen Beyond 2, by some kind of magic, only weighs 107 grams in total. But the main concern that a lot of users had with the original Beyond was that because of this smaller form factor, it also had a big reduction in its overall field of view. And that refers to the part of your vision that is being covered with the screen. Now luckily, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 got a massive boost in its FOV thanks to their so-called pancake lenses. And that might sound familiar, since these are very similar to the ones that we see in the Quest 3 headset. So when put to the test, this means that their FOVs are now nearly identical, even with the big size difference. And that gets us directly to the second part that you will quickly see, which are the included head straps. And for this, the Quest 3 has a soft dual band, which is a big improvement over the single strap design from the original Quest 2. But sadly, even though you can now adjust these straps to distribute the weight more evenly, it is still far from perfect, because after just a while of using them, you will feel quite a lot of pressure on the back of your scalp where the plastic pieces are digging into your skin. Now in comparison, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 will also come with a similar kind of soft band style that will pretty much have the same issues as that of Quest 3. And Bigscreen also offers some first-party alternatives, like an audio strap or a halo mount, that sadly do come at a pretty hefty price tag. But that gets us to a unique feature of the hardware, which are the face cushions. Because while the Quest 3 comes with a standard universal version that can be easily swapped out to clean or replace, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 comes with a fully custom fit one that is made from a 3D scan of your own face. Now of course, this does mean that while the Bigscreen Beyond 2 will fit you like a glove, you won't really be able to change them out with your friends or family unless they have one of their own. Luckily, Bigscreen does provide an option to get a universal light seal, but once again, these come with some extra cost. But don't worry, we'll dive into that later. Because next to the headset hardware itself, we should also talk about the controllers. And here, the Quest 3 comes with 2 Touch Plus controllers included right out of the box. And these are actually pretty damn great. However, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 does not come with controllers at all. And this can also be a big downside for users, because this means that you don't only have to buy compatible controllers, like the Valve Knuckles for example, but you will also need to get some lighthouses that track them in the first place. So if you don't have these controllers already laying at home, then this will once again increase the price drastically. But that gets us to maybe one of the biggest differences, which is the screen. Because the Meta Quest 3 is rocking an LCD panel that has a resolution of 2064 by 2208 pixels per eye. And that, while the Bigscreen Beyond 2 has a fantastic OLED display with a whopping 2560 by 2560 pixels instead. And that means that the Beyond 2 doesn't just have a higher resolution, but it will also show your games in much more vivid colors and deeper blacks thanks to its use of its OLED panel. And while we're talking about the displays, both of these can also fine-tune their IPD. And this refers to the distance that is between your eyes. And while the Meta Quest 3 does this with an easy wheel that you can turn, the Beyond 2 has a special tool that comes with it that lets you change these lens distances as well. Which gets us to the next important hardware part, and that is the audio. Now the Quest 3 has some built-in speakers that you can find on each side of the head strap. And surprisingly, these have some pretty good quality while also providing 3D sound so that you can hear the action of your games all around you. While on the other hand though, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 doesn't have any built-in audio at all. So in this case, you will always be forced to use your own external headphones, which is important to keep in mind. But besides the hardware, probably the most important thing that we should talk about is of course the games. And this is also where we can see a very big difference in the options that are available. Because since the Meta Quest 3 is a hybrid VR headset, this basically means that it can be used as a standalone device without the use of a PC at all. And when you do this, you will get access to the massive VR library of Meta itself that also has some amazing exclusives that aren't available anywhere else. But since the Quest 3 is using a mobile processor that is known as the Snapdragon XR2 Generation 2 chip, the games that you will play on it in the standalone mode will of course also have much lower graphics compared to some PCVR titles. However, the cool thing about the Quest 3 is that if you want, you can also connect it to your computer either wirelessly or by cable. And in that way, it will also give you access to all these Steam VR games too. And that is a quite big contrast compared to the Beyond 2, which can only be used while tethered to a PC with no wireless or standalone options here. Now of course, since the Beyond 2 has a higher resolution OLED screen, the games that you will play will still look a lot better compared to that of Quest 3. But one big feature that the Bigscreen Beyond 2 doesn't have at all is the possibility to use mixed reality, because the Meta Quest 3 has multiple color cameras on the outside of the visor, which let the users see their real-world surroundings if they want to. But besides it just being a nice function to quickly get around your house, for example, without having to take off your headset, this feature also unlocks a bunch of games that are specifically made for it. And maybe even cooler is that thanks to these cameras, it also becomes possible for you to completely ditch your controllers and use hand tracking instead. Now do keep in mind that not all games and experience support these hand tracking or mixed reality features just yet, but it can also be a great asset if you want to use your headset for things like work or productivity. But of course, next to all these great experiences, we should also talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the price. Now the Meta Quest 3 comes in at a price of $500. And this also includes your controllers, as well as a promotional game, which is Batman Arkham Shadows at the moment, and 2 months worth of Quest Plus, while the Bigscreen Beyond 2 base model comes in at $1,019. And keep in mind that this isn't only 2 times the price of a Quest 3, but it also doesn't include the controllers or lighthouses that you need for it to function. Oh, and it is also good to mention that besides the Beyond 2 coming in 3 different color options, they also have a special version called the Beyond 2E, which has an eye tracking module built into it. But this also comes in at a higher base price of $1,219, which gets us to the final conclusion. Now the Bigscreen Beyond 2 and the Meta Quest 3 are both awesome VR headsets, but they each do have their own pros and cons, which should make it easier to choose which one is best for you. So on one side, the Meta Quest 3 is perfect if you want to have a great VR experience right out of the box. And maybe best of all, you can also simply get all of this without having to break the bank for it. But if you are a PC VR enthusiast who wants to play Steam VR games only with the highest quality possible while being all in a small package, then the Bigscreen Beyond 2 might be right up your alley. But that's not all, because besides the Beyond 2, there's also another PCVR headset known as the Valve Index. So to be able to see how that one compares to the Meta Quest 3, make sure that you click on the video that you see on screen right now so that you don't miss out on that. And of course, stay awesome.